Chapter 5. Sport. Perhaps most remarkable at Zonderwater was the role of sports. Football, boxing, cycling, and athletics flourished inside the wire fences. The competitions helped maintain morale, discipline, and camaraderie. Games often drew thousands of spectators, including guards, creating moments of joy and normalcy amid captivity. After the war, many former prisoners chose to remain in South Africa, where they helped rebuild and enrich the local communities. Today, the Zonderwater Italian Military Cemetery and Museum stand as a tribute to their resilience and humanity. This story, The Fields of Zonderwater, is inspired by those real lives, a celebration of how dignity and creativity can endure even in confinement. Part 1. The capture. The desert was silent when the engines stopped. Giovanni Vaglietti pressed his back against the sandbags, the heat still rising from the dunes like breath. The war in North Africa had dragged on for years, but that morning near Tobruk, for him, it was over. The British soldiers arrived without hatred. One handed him water, another pointed to a truck. Giovanni climbed aboard with 50 others scorched and exhausted. No one spoke. A few days later, on a crowded ship crossing the Indian Ocean, Giovanni stared into the endless blue. Someone said they were being sent far south to a place called Zonderwater, near a city named Pretoria. No one knew exactly where it was. He thought of his father's workshop in Turin, the smell of leather and oil, the sound of a ball rolling down the alley. He closed his eyes and whispered, "One day, I'll play again." Part 2. The Arrival. The train rattled across the African plains, a sea of yellow grass and acacia trees. When it stopped, a sign read, Zonderwater. The camp was immense, miles of barbed wire, wooden towers, endless rows of tin huts. Yet, to Giovanni's surprise, there was order. The prisoners were not pushed or insulted. The officers received them calmly, assigning them to numbered sectors. Giovanni was sent to Block 3 with about 3,000 men. The air was dry, the light blinding. That night, they received soup and bread, their first warm meal in weeks. The next morning, Giovanni saw something that changed him. Beyond the huts, men were playing football, barefoot, laughing, arguing like old friends. A makeshift goal, 2 crooked poles in the dust. He smiled for the first time since his capture. "Do you play?" asked a voice behind him. It was Luigi Moretti, a carpenter from Naples. "Once," Giovanni said, "before the war." "Then you'll play again," Luigi replied. What Luigi didn't know was the fact that Giovanni was part as a young player of the Grande Torino, and his fame at Zonderwater would soon start to rise because of his extraordinary talent and his determination. Part 3. The Fields of Freedom. As the months passed, Zonderwater became a city within the wire, a paradox of captivity and creation. The prisoners built theaters, workshops, and schools. They planted trees, carved statues, and printed a small newspaper. Sport became the heart of the camp. Giovanni joined the football team and eventually became the star of the famous Diavoli Neri. The soccer matches in the camp became legendary, with thousands of people attending and following the various leagues and tournaments that were played at Zonderwater. Giovanni was the most talented of all the calciatori, and his playing skills on the pitch were admired by everyone. But he was not the only one who found life in playing sport. Pietro Rinaldi, a cyclist from Florence, built a bicycle from scrap metal and organized races around the camp. Marco Bellini, a boxer from Genoa, set up a ring using sheets for ropes. His matches became legendary. Alberto Sana, a fencer from Milan, taught elegance and patience with improvised swords made from wire and broom handles. Franco D'Amico, a swimmer, trained his friends to breathe and move in harmony, even though their pool was a pit filled with rainwater and laughter. Together, these men made Zonderwater come alive. Football matches drew hundreds of spectators, even among the guards. For those 2 hours, the field became a fragment of freedom. Giovanni ran light and sure, with the grace of a man who remembers what it means to be human. After every victory, Luigi carved small wooden medals. "When I run," Giovanni told Dr. Enzo Ricci one evening, "I forget I am a prisoner." Enzo smiled. "That's what they can't take from us." Part 4. The Turning Point. By 1944, rumors spread. Italy had signed the armistice, and the war in Europe was ending. One afternoon, during a match, Giovanni fell badly after a collision. His knee gave way. Enzo treated him with steady hands. "You'll walk again," Enzo said softly, "but you may never play." For weeks, Giovanni sat by the sidelines, watching others run. The pain in his leg mixed with the ache in his heart. One day, Luigi handed him a whistle. "You'll coach us," he said. "You're the one who taught us to believe. Don't stop now." Pietro repaired bicycles. Marco taught young men to fight with honor. Alberto organized fencing duels. Each man preserved the dignity of the others. Zonderwater was no longer just a camp. It was a school of endurance. Part 5. Liberation. In 1946, the gates of Zonderwater opened. The war was over. The men were free. Some cried. Others sang. Giovanni stood still, staring at the horizon he had watched for years. He could return to Italy, to ruins, ration cards and memories, or remain in the land where the sky had been his only roof. He chose to stay. Giovanni became a brilliant radiologist, a profession that he learned in the hospital of Zonderwater. He married, had 2 children, founded with others the Italian sporting club in Johannesburg and his football club called Olympia that is still running today. But every year, on the day of liberation, he returned to the old camp. There, on the field now overgrown with wild grass, he placed a ball on the dust and kicked it once. A silent salute to all the men who had found freedom inside captivity. Epilogue. In the Zonderwater Museum, there is still a photograph. A group of young men in worn uniforms, smiling beside 2 crooked goalposts, the Highlands sun blazing behind them. At the center stands Giovanni Vaglietti, a hand on a teammate's shoulder, his eyes lit by something that had outlasted the war. Hope.